Inspector Carr investigates.
Some considerable time ago, I told of an investigation into the death of a film actress. She was murdered in her dressing room. But it was not until I became personally involved in the making of a motion picture here in South Africa that I realized what complex and tedious occupation it can be. So much time spent on moving lights around, setting up cameras, testing for sound and so on, that to the uninitiated, progress seems incredibly slow. Long before your actor and actress come on the set, there are dozens of people milling around, electricians, prop men, makeup and script girls, wardrobe and so on. It may seem as though they're all idle and aimless, but far from it. Once you know what's going on, and you watch things taking shape, it becomes quite fascinating. I mention all this because tonight you're going to hear of another murder committed on a film set, but this time whilst the victim was being filmed. In fact, we were able to see the unfortunate chap as he plunged to his death. Let me tell you about it. I've called my story Death Among the Rushes. Because of the many miles of greenery, its hills and vales and ever-changing scene, most Apex films were shot within easy distance of its main buildings. In the case of Victor Standish, shot was the operative word.
All right, Ian, take the wretched stuff away.
Right, Chief.
Yes, sir, darling, there's no point in you hanging around here. Why don't you follow everyone else's example and go home?
Go home, you say? Go home? We're moving.
Chief Inspector Carr.
Yeah, that's right. Are you Mr. Samuels?
At the moment, I don't know who I am, what I am, and why I am. All I do know is that I've just seen £500,000 go down the drain.
You've got to find this one here. You've got to.
Now, all right, Deb, all right. This is Deborah Kingsley. No doubt
yes, I've had the pleasure of seeing and hearing Miss Kingsley on the stage as well as the screen.
Mr. Carr, you won't have to look far for the boot.
Now, go home, Deb. Go home and stop making these wild accusations.
What I told that police sergeant is true. You see...
Look, if you don't mind, I'd rather start this investigation somewhere else. All this noise going on.
I tell you, you're wasting your time.
I'm warning you, Deborah.
Just a moment. Now, Miss Kingsley, all I know is that Mr. Standish was shot while he was clambering over a balcony. If you have some information, I'd like to hear it.
My husband. He threatened to kill Victor, and now he's done it.
Your husband?
His name's Donald King. Kingsley is Deborah's professional name.
And where is Mr. King at this moment?
Probably halfway across the Atlantic. I told that sergeant not to waste any time. Victor and I... Oh, well, we had a marvellous thing going for us. I loved him and he loved me. And...
It's all right, Deborah, and I'll save it for later. Would you like to come this way, Chief Inspector? You can't see the set from here. Yeah. There you are, you see? We built this specially for the movie.
At the balcony?
Yeah. You see, the sequence is where Masters, that's Victor, is a guest of the Count. He's put in the room next to Francesca, the daughter. Oh, we were shooting the film. Oh, that's fine, Victor. Just hold it like that. Now you swing your left leg over the railing, and then the right, and then you leap. Are you sure you can do this? The stuntman's standing by.
I told you I've never used a stuntman. I don't want a stuntman. What are you worried about, Ed? A kid could jump onto that next
Okay, if you say so. Well, stand by, everybody.
Quiet, everyone.
All right. Hold it. Get ready to roll. Sound. Camera up.
Take one.
Action. A cut! Francesca! Where's Francesca?
I'm here.
You're supposed to be peering behind that curtain. All I want to see is your face and your hand, nothing else. Now, are you all set, Vic?
I'm okay.
Right, get ready to roll. Sound. Camera up.
Take two.
Action. I should have let the stuntman do this.
He's doing great.
No, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. He was doing fine. He leapt from one balcony to the other, but before he could get proper footing, I heard a shot, and then he fell to the ground.
Well, according to the local police surgeon, Mr. Standish was shot in the back. Somebody was in that building. In fact, it wasn't the shot that killed him. He died of multiple injuries, caught his head on that stone.
He died, and I'm ruined.
Money, that's all you think about. See what this thing's done to me?
I've just had about enough from you, Deborah. If you don't leave now, I'll order you off the set.
Can you see what he's trying to do, Inspector? Can't you see?
See what, Miss Kingsley?
He's trying to shield his brother-in-law, that's what. Who do you think financed this film?
If you don't...
This was going to be Victor's last film with you, wasn't it? You hated him as much as Donald.
You mustn't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's saying. My brother-in-law has put every cent he had into this movie, and so have I. Do you think he would ruin it himself because of her?
Was Mr. King on the set this morning?
No, he wasn't. In fact, apart from the technicians, Johnson...
Johnson?
Well, he's the chief cameraman. There are only about a dozen on the set this morning. We were just shooting the seduction scene.
No other actresses or actors other than this young lady and Mr. Standish?
Oh, none. The next sequence was going to be shot in Sicily.
Oh, here comes Sergeant Telling.
Dr. Howard's compliments, sir. He's still at the Guildford Hospital.
Right, Sergeant. Oh, you've taken statements from everyone, I take it?
Yes, sir.
And the bullet?
Dr. Howard says that ballistics will be able to examine it within the hour.
Fair enough. I take it you'll be around for the next hour or two, Mr. Samuel?
I shall be here for as long as you want me. As soon as we've finished, what we have to do, we shall dismantle the set and all the equipment and then start striking, you see.
Well, it shouldn't take very long, if you'll both excuse us. Sergeant Telling and I will be inspecting the balconies and the room from which the shot was fired. You're a sorry man, Telling.
Yes, sir. Born and brought up in Dorking. Oh, this is quite amazing, isn't it, sir?
It is indeed. The front part looks as though it's the home of a Spanish nobleman. It's all a facade. Now, what was this building? It's all in ruins.
This used to be offices of the East Surrey Agricultural Society.
Well, it's quite obvious what happened. Somebody clambered up the old stone steps, got into the remains of the building where Standish was about to do his stuff, and shot him. But it must have been someone who knew, A, that seduction scene was going to be shot earlier this morning, and B, would know the timing. Ah, well, here we are. I didn't quite know what to expect, but certainly not a room with only 3 walls, which only the far end had any semblance of habitation. 2/3 of the floor was covered in thick dust, yet, by the heavily curtained windows, there was a luxurious-looking carpet, whilst the windows themselves had obviously been installed recently. Close to the curtains were items such as 1/3 of a bed, a Spanish-style dressing table, a lampshade, all objects likely to catch the eye of the camera.
Talk about make-believe, sir.
Well, at least this was a solid building, Sergeant. When I went to Hollywood, I walked down the main street of what was supposed to be a town in the Midwest, and everything, the saloon bar, the sheriff's office, everything was made of papier-mâché. This floor's been walked over so many times, not much over footprints. Hello? Yes, here's something. Cartridge case. Guard that with your life.
Right, sir.
When you arrived on the scene with Dr. Howard, did you see anyone other than those connected with the making of the film? You did question everyone.
No, sir, I didn't. I got the names of them all. They all told me their job.
Well, obviously when Standish was doing his stunt, all eyes would be on him.
One of the film crew, or the carpenter, one of the makeup girls.
No, Sergeant. Thankfully, we can eliminate everyone employed by the Apex Film Company. Those who are employed on the set, that is. There is something that puzzles me. Something that doesn't quite gel.
Oh, what's that, sir?
Oh, never mind that for a moment. Do you know the geography of the Apex offices?
Oh, yes, sir, I've been here quite a few times. The offices are only half a mile up the road.
Well, I don't think we can do much here. Can't get through to your headquarters. I want the set photographed. I want all the stuff fingerprinted. You never know.
Very good, sir.
I shall be spending some time at the Apex offices. I understand, Mrs. Clifford, that you're Mr. Samuels' personal assistant.
That's what he calls me. I do everything around here. I help with the casting, supervise the props, everything.
So I've been informed. How long have you been with the company, Mrs. Clifford?
Ever since Len Samuels broke away from British government. I was doing continuity in those days. Why do you ask?
Were you on the film lot this morning?
When Victor was shot?
No, earlier. I wondered if you saw...
Let me tell you right away, Chief Inspector, that I don't care who shot him. That if I knew who was responsible, I'd send him round a bottle of champagne with a nice thank you note.
Oh? He wasn't one of your favourites, I take it.
Favourites? Victor Standish, one of my favourites? In the first place, his real name's not Victor Standish, it's Bernard Hemp. And in the second place, when he was still at RADA, one of the sweetest persons that ever lived drowned herself in her boarding house bath after cutting her wrists, after Mr. Hemp flatly denied that he was the father of her unborn child.
2 women, both declaring knowledge as to the identity of Standish's killer. One whose accusations stemmed from love, the other from hate. You say, Mrs. Clifford, that Standish's real name is Hemp?
Yes, and a very suitable name it is, too. That's what they make drugs from, isn't it, Hemp? Well, Victor certainly knew how to put women under his... Funny thing is, I don't think he was ever interested in women. He just liked to see them crawl, watched them plead for a little love and affection.
Did you know him well, Mrs. Clifford?
If you're asking me whether I fell under his spell when we were all kids training to become actors at the academy, yes. Yes, I did. Veronica and I stayed at the same boarding house. I wondered why she was taking so long in the bathroom. I knocked and... Come on, Ronnie! You know what Mrs. Fletcher's like if we're late. Hurry up! Veronica!
Oh, what's going on?
It's Ronnie. I can't get a word out of her. She's been in the bathroom for over an hour. We've got an audition this evening.
Over an hour, you see. Oh, that's not like Miss Kirby. You sure she's in there?
I'm positive. I saw her go in. I told her not to be long because I want to have a bath too.
That's funny. Miss Kirby! Look, good heavens, all that water. Here, now stand by. Steady, lass, steady. Now, please don't faint. I'll need your help.
It's funny. All I could think of was she'd left the bathtap running. There she was lying there, the water stained with her blood, and I was thinking of the tap. For the moment I thought I was going out of my mind, and then I saw it.
Saw what, Mrs. Clifford?
She left a note. It was on the window ledge. It was addressed to me, asking me to try and explain things to her parents.
Where did her parents live?
Her mother died about 2 years ago. Mr. Kirby has a shop in Liverpool. He's a gunsmith.
You get that, Ops? I want to know all about this man, Kirby, where he was this morning, particularly if he left Liverpool for London. Well, I want to check on Mrs. Clifford. I'd have her tailed for the next couple of days. I want to know whether she or her husband ever possessed a gun. She knew when the shooting of the film was taking place. She knew the setup. She had motive and opportunity. The information that Deborah Kingsley's husband was seen in the vicinity is most interesting. Time I had a word with him.
Do you mind if I help myself to a drink, since you've refused one, Inspector?
Go ahead, sir.
I see you're looking at my hands, Inspector. Yes, they are trembling. I'm trembling all over, if you must know.
Why, sir? What's making you so nervous?
You are.
Well, surely if you're innocent, you've nothing to fear from me.
Yes, I have. Excuse me. Feel a little better, but not much.
Don't you think we both ought to sit down?
Sorry. Forgive me, please.
Thank you. Now, you arrived on the set at 8:30 this morning.
Yes.
And yet no one, other than your wife, mentioned your name this morning. Who did you speak to? Mr. King, time is of the essence. I can't afford to waste
right.
time.
I knew that the call was for 9 o'clock. I was going to have it out with Victor. You see, they were leaving tomorrow morning for Sicily. I loved my wife, Inspector. The worst thing I ever did was let Len Samuels cast Standish in the movie. I could have said no. Without my backing, it would never have got off the ground. 6 weeks ago, I was a happy man. Darling, I'm home. Deborah! Oh, there you are. Oh, what a day I've had. I've been with the insurance companies. Do you know how much they want as the premium for... Have you just come in?
No, Donald. We finished shooting hours ago. I'm going out.
Out? But what is it? Is something wrong? You're looking to me as though...
I'm waiting for a taxi. I'm moving in with Moira for the time being. I'm just taking this case. I'll send for the others later.
Is this some kind of a joke? So we had a row last night, so I was jealous. I'm sorry.
You had every reason to be jealous. There's no point in waiting until the film moves to Sicily.
What are you talking about? I don't believe it. Glamour boy? You must be joking. What, do you want to be one of his harem?
There's my taxi, Donald. I'm sorry.
I was too numb to say or do anything. Not that I could have forced her to stay with me. I was helpless. So I went and had it out with Standish. He just laughed at me, said it was all nonsense, told me not to worry. If I had any guts, I would have... But you're wrong, Inspector. I didn't shoot him.
Then what were you doing on the film set?
You won't believe this. I went there to plead with Deborah. I told her...
Now, just a minute. You say that you went on the location to plead with your wife. Did you?
No, I didn't plead with her.
No. Move those lights a little further back.
Right.
Oh, hello, Don. What are you doing here?
Helen Clifford tells me that the entire unit flies to Sicily tomorrow morning.
Well, you knew that, Don. What? Hey, you've not come to pick a row with Standish, have you?
I'll do more than pick a row if I get my hands on him. Where's Deborah?
Well, it looks a bit overcast. I've changed the schedule. We start shooting at 9 o'clock. Thank goodness most of the clouds have gone. I think we're going to have a great movie, Donald. I really do. But why have you really come here? You're not going to upset either of them, I mean, not while we're making a film. Last time you two quarrelled, I thought Victor was going to walk out. Then what would we have done?
Get another actor.
Are you crazy after we shot 52 minutes of screening time? Look, Don, the film is almost finished. There's nothing you can do here except upset them both. You'll not get it back this way, you know. So why don't you wait? In 4 or 5 days, we'll have finished shooting. You go his way, Deborah will come running home to you. You see?
I could kill him. The rotten fool.
Now, please, Don. They'll be here any minute. Now, please go away. Do me a favour. Do yourself a favour. If anything goes wrong with this movie, you and me will end up in the bankruptcy court.
What do I care? I can't live without her. Without Deborah, I'm nothing. And don't start talking to me about my pride like you did last time.
All right. I didn't want to tell you this. Victor swore to me that he has no intention of marrying Deborah. You're out of date. Remember the premiere for Hunter's Wild? That's where he met Lady Lansdowne. When I went around to his flat last night, you should have seen the two of them together.
Do you mean it? You're not kidding me? I believed Len Samuels. That's why I got back in my car and drove home. I've always trusted Len. He's a straight shooter. Knew he wouldn't lie to me. So I thought I'd take his advice. Let them go to Sicily together. Particularly when Len told me that Lady Lansdowne had a villa on the island.
Oh, she did she? Well, thank you, Mr. King. I won't take up any more of your time.
You believe me?
Yes, I do. Things are falling into place. Something worried me from the very start. Now I'm beginning to see the light.
Well, I can't help that, Mr. Goldstein. I know. We can't send over a unit when the leading man is dead, can we? Yes, you'll have to cancel the tickets. That's our affair. Oh, hello, Inspector. I didn't see you standing there.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Clifford. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. It was just
Oh,
that
don't apologize. It's been absolute madhouse. Poor Len Samuels is almost suicidal. I've had Equity on the phone warning me about the contract. I've had... Oh, anyway. You don't want to know all my troubles. What can I do for you?
You say that you're in charge of props.
Yes. Well, no. I'm misleading you. We have a props department, of course. What I meant to convey was that if anything goes wrong, or some of the props are missing, who does Len blame? Yours truly. Why?
You have access to guns, for instance.
Oh, I see. You still think that
You killed Standish. No, I don't. I've been casing the place, as they say in the classics. It would have been impossible for you to have walked into that building without someone spotting you. You're too well known. Besides...
Besides what?
Oh, never mind that for a moment. I take it that both Standish and Deborah Kingsley were wearing their costumes. I arrived on the scene. Mrs. King, for instance, was wearing modern clothes.
Yes. No, of course they were wearing their 18th century costumes.
Do you happen to have a drawing of the costume Mrs. King was wearing?
Well, not a drawing, but an actual still. We took pictures for the press. There you are, Inspector.
Thank you. Most attractive. Quite voluminous. Any pockets?
Oh, yes. Women of quality in those days carried much more about with them than one would think. Why, do you... You don't think...
Please, Mrs. Clifford, can we go to your props department?
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Oh, I'm sorry to have brought you all the way back, but Mrs. Clifford felt that you should be present, now that everybody's gone home and everything's locked up.
But what are you looking for? You can't be looking for a gun. Oh, dear heavens, you don't.
Please, Mr. Samuels.
Well, there you are. This is where we keep...
It's gone. It's not here.
Show me. Oh, perhaps George is... Don't you see what this means, Helen? Don't you see you're putting a noose around your neck? Why didn't you keep your big mouth shut? The inspector will think...
Here's the bullet taken from Standish's body, and this is the cartridge we found on the set. This bullet came from this cartridge. And there's a gun missing, a gun of this caliber. Oh, is there or is there not?
Well, I can't be expected to know everything. Ask Helen.
Yes, it is the same caliber. Let's have a look at the prop book. According to the property book, that gun hasn't been taken out. It should still be here.
Deborah. Oh, my giddy aunt.
My maid tells me what to see, Inspector.
Deborah King, alias Deborah Kingsley, I'm arresting you on suspicion that you did murder Victor Standish, and I caution you that anything you...
No!
I suggest that you collect some things. You're coming with me.
No, he deserved it. He lied to me. I heard an actor like that, and I believed him. We're going to marry from our own film company.
I suggest, madam, you don't say any more until you've seen your solicitor.
Oh, I didn't say anything to you, Inspector, but in my heart of hearts, I thought Helen Clifford shot Victor. As soon as she heard he'd be cast in the movie, she wanted to quit. Told me about the friend of hers who committed suicide over it.
One thing, she signed a full confession, saved the taxpayer quite a bit. As she walked into the armory, it was unattended, saw the gun and a box of cartridges. I knew from the beginning that something wasn't quite right, but I couldn't see the motive. You all gave me the impression that they were in love with each other, but as soon as Kingsley was being ditched for a rich socialite, then everything gelled. There was I questioning everyone on the set, knowing that no one connected with the production, that is, director, cameraman, technicians and the like, could be involved in the murder, since they were actually looking up Standish while he was clambering over the balcony. Now, the murder plan required perfect timing. The killer had to be in the room where Standish was standing prior to his clambering over the balcony. One assumes that as he begins to climb towards his lady, the killer would shoot. But...
Right, get ready to roll. Sound. Camera up.
Take one.
And action. Cut! Francesca, where's Francesca?
I'm here.
But she wasn't there, which means that they had to shoot the scene again. Now, surely the killer wouldn't know that and would fire the gun the very first time. What Deborah had done was to remove the gun from her costume, remember that she was only next door in a half-demolished building, place it in the room where Standish was, on the balcony. When she hears Len call, "Where are you?" she rushes back, and so they proceed to shoot the sequence again. And while all eyes were on Standish, she goes back into the room and shoots him. All she needed was a few seconds to appear grief-stricken on her own balcony, not half as grief-stricken as when the judge sentenced her to life imprisonment.
Inspector Carr Investigates, with Hugh Rouse in the title role, is written and produced by Michael Silver. Listen again next Thursday night as Inspector Carr Investigates.